What's up, YouTube? It's Joe Catchpollia sitting on the couch making some money investing in fractional real estate online, as usual. Today, I just wanted to share a little bit more about what's going on with the arrived secondary market. I wanted to correct a couple of things that I had mentioned in the last video, and then also just talk a little bit about what they're doing, why they're doing it, uh, and go through a couple of features and things that they have here. One of the things I want to point out, I think a lot of us, some of us are talking in the Discord today. A lot of us are expecting bigger discounts than what we've seen so far. Although there were some 20% discounts now. If you look through here, I think I have these. Yeah, I have these sorted by best available price. The biggest one, or the biggest discount at the moment is 12.9%. If you think about, I'm looking on Lofty Assist here. If you think about the average discount right now on Lofty, you're getting it's over 32%, right? This is like 32.4 something percent, I think. Uh, on Lofty versus, right now the best discount we can find is 12.9. Now, obviously, in a couple of things though. This is a discount from the arrived valuation. This is not showing the discount from when it was listed for sale. This is actually just showing the discount from when it's listed for sale. So that means this discount is even larger, assuming the property may, if the property is appreciated at all. Now, obviously, if things have gone wrong and there are a lot of problems, maybe it's a worse discount. So I guess I'm mentioning all this to say I think we shouldn't really be focused on this number, right? I mean, even though, yes, this is how I sorted them, this is how I thought it would be a good way to attack them in general, right? To look at the properties. I think, looking at, although I think a discount from their today's valuation might make a little bit more sense than looking at, like on Lofty, we're talking about the discount from $50, which may or may not have ever been a reasonable valuation. Again, Arrive's valuation currently may or may not be. But especially like the further forward we go in time, the discount from the initial purchase starts to really not make a lot of sense. So, one, I guess, I want to mention that I like that they're doing it from their valuation. I think as time goes on, that's going to make sense. But at the same time, it's going to come down to how much do we trust their valuation. On the one that I showed on the last video, it looks like they were using some data that was somewhere in line with the Redfin data. So it didn't look crazy to me. But it is something where I'm not sure how much I'm going to rely on this. Obviously, I think a 12% discount has to be a better deal than these ones that they're trying to sell them for 102% premium, right? I mean, this is just there's some people, and this is one thing that's fun to see is there's crazy people on every single site, right? I mean, there's buy orders in the $5 range. The arrived valuation is a little below, and someone's trying to sell them all at $10 each. My guess is this person is confused on what they paid for these ones originally, and so they listed them there. I mean, I don't know that that's the case, but I would hope so. I hope it's not just a crazy person that thinks, oh, they should have doubled their money by now. Um, but so one of the things that I thought is interesting to look at is we have, you have started to see quite a few sales matching in some of these. And that's what I wanted to mention. One thing that I was mistaken about, I was showing like, hey, it looks like there's orders, but they're not matching what's going on. Well, Ike in our Discord pointed out like, hey, they actually told us this. It's only matching just starts today. It wasn't going to be right away. You could put orders in, and then once those orders start to execute, it'll only be during trading hours. And they define what their trading hours is. I don't think I left those up. If I did, no, I didn't. But so, uh-oh. Oh, no, I'm pulling stuff around here. Let's get that back where it belongs. So that makes sense, right? So they're saying they're going to do this every time. Secondary markets are going to be open for a week. Your initial weekend, you're going to have time to look at the market data, put in your orders. As the week, orders will start matching on Monday. You can edit any open orders that haven't closed yet. So I think it's a reasonable approach. I think this was really well thought out. Um, there, so let's see with it, things and a couple of things to know. These don't work like I know a lot of us are used to trading on Lofty. These don't work exactly like they do on Lofty. And, Lofty doesn't work the way that the stock market works. So, maybe if you come from the stock market, this may or may not work depending on the way that you're used to. But so one of the things like some of you might be used to if I put in if there's 50 if there like this example here that they're showing, right, there's 100 shares that are at $11.20, but I want to buy 150 shares, and let's say I put 150 shares at 11.20 as my order. As far as I understand this, it won't actually match that, right? Because they're only going to match orders where they can match your entire order, is what it seems like they're trying to tell us. Um, and so in order to do that, you have to pick a number that's high enough that it's covering, that there's at least 150 shares that are at or below your price that you're listing, which is different, right? Where, like on Lofty, in this scenario, if I had put 150 shares to buy at 11.20, it would the order would go in, it would sell 100, and then it would just sit there with an open order for 50 more. So it seems like it doesn't actually work that way on here. You have to do, and like I said, I'm not going to be eligible for trading on here. I think not even in the September window. I think it won't be till November. So I am unfortunately just a spectator. So I don't get to play with these things. So if you've tried this and that is how it works, please throw it in the comments. I know there were a couple people that were confused about why their orders weren't going through, and it was once the trading actually started happening. So I think it's probably has to do with this. It's also possible that they have some sort of error on their platform. Um, and then let's see. So they're talking, they give you a little bit of advice on making the most of your trading windows. Yeah, and this is where they tell you, like who's eligible. Well, do they have that here? No, maybe not. But so they say, submit your orders at any time. They can be all the stuff that I just mentioned. Yeah, this is where they outline that first weekend thing. Um, yeah, this is where they say that I'm not eligible because you have to have held something from them for at least 60 days. And again, I mean, I've just never been excited about any of their IPOs. Remind me, please like and subscribe. In the description of this video, I have links to all the places where I'm currently investing in fractional real estate online. Uh, Please feel free to use those links, find those platforms, but do your own due diligence on all the platforms and all the properties. Just because I tell you that I use a platform or that I invest in a certain one doesn't mean that you should. Even though I often mention Mogul as being my favorite, and I like a lot of the deals on there. I wouldn't buy every deal on there. I've passed on some, and then I talk about Lofty a lot, and I do have some money on Lofty, but it's a scary place to recommend to anybody, right? Like, I mean, it's well, that 32% discount means a lot of people have lost money, right? Um, I was actually looking at Lofty Assist today, and it looks like we've flattened out as far as the index over time. Part of this is I think now discounts have just gotten so low that some people people like me just are like, well, I'll take on all the platform risk and the governance proposal craziness just because I'm getting such deep discounts at this point. So anyway, all that being said, just because I mentioned a platform or say I'm investing in something or buying something doesn't mean that you should do it. You want to do your own due diligence. Also, I mentioned our Discord in the links or in the description to this video. There's a link to that Discord. We've had a lot of great discussions about Arrived, about Lofty, about Mogul, Ground Floor. It's been pretty active lately. I really appreciate it. I think the more we work together, share info, find deals, figure out where, what platforms are actually doing a good job for us investors, which ones aren't, which ones are open to our feedback. All of that I think is really helpful. So feel free to click on the link, jump in there, and join the conversations. So that's all I think I really wanted to mention about this. You want to look at this. Oh, and then their FAQs, they have a lot of FAQs. They are sort of redundant, so I wanted to just save you a little bit of time. I mean, obviously, read through every single one if you're that person, right, who's going to do that. Sometimes, especially when they're redundant, I get a little aggravated, like it's answering the same question a couple of times. And I think what they did is like answered questions at a different point in time and sort of aggregated these. But a couple of the ones that I think are important, are these dates, right? They put like, okay, right now it's only the properties, which properties are available. It's only the properties that were sold through March 2022 that are available right now. I think that's important to know. One, it lets you know once all of those are listed, and I think they're all up now. Then you'll know there's no more available, right? Like you're not if you're waiting for that next property, if it was listed after that time, it's not going to be on here. Um, the the September ones are going to be everything through December 2022. Uh, Selling limited properties launch between this period of time, right? April 2020. So what's interesting, so the ones that are selling right now don't seem like they're going to be available in September. It's just going to be like the second batch of these for this window, and then November is when we'll get a chance to buy all the eligible shares, and to be eligible, it just has to be up after 6 months. I thought this was useful information. I should have passed it along last time, but again, for all of these, you have to have been an investor on their platform for at least 60 days. Um, so that's important to note. One of the things there's been a lot of discussion about is why are they doing it this way, right? Why are we just doing 1 week per quarter? It seems super aggravating. Like, if you're used to just being able to trade all the time. And, their response to this is really smart, right? It's a thin market overall, right? There's not a lot of buyers and sellers. And so they think that if they by having just a quarterly week of trading, it's going to help, what they're saying is concentrate investor activity into a specific window. And so it gives us a better chance to match, right? And they make the comparison that I think is a cool comparison. I think it makes a lot of sense. It's like having a farmer's market where everybody comes and shows up versus like just having a fruit stand that's open all the time. Yeah, one is going to have just, you just have everybody show up on those farmers markets. They're always mobbed. And like the fruit stand by my house that I had in New Jersey was like, you'd stop by there and there'd be nobody else there, and you wondered how they stayed in business. So I think that analogy at least really hits me because the town I lived in had both, and only one of them was packed all the time. And so I think that this is pretty smart if you've been on a platform, and I'm going to use Lofty as an example just because it's the only other one that's a fractional site that I know a lot of you are on, that has had these limit orders. And now they do have market orders, although they're extremely expensive to use the market orders, fees wise. But the limit orders, it is frustrating. Like you'll put stuff up, you'll have a limit order up. It'll be up for a month. It'll expire. A few days later, you'll see somebody actually bought through the market or through the automated market maker. The where you have the instant liquidity for a price that you would have been really happy, right? Like if they had, if you had your limit order out there, So I think it makes a lot of sense to just do this 1 week a quarter. Um, Obviously it makes it so you can't access any emergency liquidity from here, but hopefully nobody's keeping their emergency fund tied up in real estate anyway. I think that, being able to liquidate within 30 or within 3 months, that's pretty reasonable for something for a real estate investment. And yeah, I mean, well, it's obviously yet to be seen like how deep these markets are going to be, but I mean, obviously all the really discounted ones are gone already, right? Like all the 20% that we saw the other day are already gone. Um, and there weren't a ton, but I think there are probably a lot of us that have been sitting here waiting for this to happen. And just seeing, yeah, I mean, like some of these was really just a few. But at the same time, there are some people that, like if you look at this, okay, there's not very deep discounts, but you have, over 1,000 shares listed and only 71 people looking to buy. So, and they're all at below here, right? So I think we might end up seeing some deeper discounts as this week goes on. Uh, whether or not that actually pans out will be really interesting to see. But I mean, some of these, this is an incredible amount of shares to have available in one property. It seems really unlikely that there's going to be this amount of demand for some of these, depending on what the discount level is, right? And then especially, has a tiny discount, but this is, yeah, no, I didn't look at this one yesterday. Maybe one of these two I did actually, but it's like I think this one was almost 25% of the total shares available for this property. One of them that I looked at was, and it's, if there's that many people trying to get out, it seems like you're going to see a bigger discount there. The other thing I don't know that I did, is really sort by yields, yields based on their valuation. And so I thought it was interesting to see they do have some that have a little bit higher yield relative to their valuation. Now, what's really interesting there, though, is that's where you just have these, there you have a lot of people asking for a decent amount more than the valuation. And so, I always think yield is temporary, basis is forever. There's just no chance that I'm going to pay even a 20% premium to get a 6% yield. And again, it's me, right? Like you might have different. If you're somebody who's already investing on Arrived, then maybe 2, 3, 4, 5% is something you're happy with already because that's what they've basically been paying on the vast majority. And so I don't know, but I, this is one of the things that's going to be interesting to me is when you start to see some combination of discount and yield. And at the moment, there's really not any that I've found to be super exciting. Um, when I did see the 20% discounts with a little bit of yield, that seemed like, okay, maybe that's something. Uh, at the moment, I think we're just still a little bit far away. But again, I mean, it's a new market. I mean, we do have a lot more sells than buys again, and this is going to be one of the things. Um, hopefully, some people do start doing some data aggregation on this stuff for us, and we can really start to analyze what's going on. Because I mean, obviously, with so many more sellers than buyers, there, we're going to. Oh, see, this is interesting. Why hasn't this matched up? Because it's the same number of shares and the same price point. Um, So I would have expected that to match already. I don't know why it hasn't. Let's see. Yeah, I don't know. So, and it's possible that they still have some issues on the site too, so I'm not sure. If this is your order and you don't understand why it hasn't matched, I don't either, and maybe check with them, their support, and say, hey, what's going on here? This looks like oh, maybe we're after the trading window at this point. Maybe this happened after the time when I'm recording this. Because if they're in Eastern time, yeah, I think it might be close. So maybe if that doesn't trigger tomorrow, then I'd be worried about it, right? But yeah, I mean, when we start to see like just how many more people are trying to sell than buy, maybe we will get some of those deeper discounts, and it's just a matter of time where we figure that out. Um, I would expect, I mean, I don't know. They're saying like, Friday's probably going to be the busiest trading day. It's certainly if you see a lot of sell side pressure, me as a buyer, obviously I'm not involved this week, but me as a buyer, I'm going to wait till the end to even put up any liquidity to try to buy, right? Because I don't want to uh I want there to be 900 shares stuck out there listed and somebody that really wants to sell them, right? And really needs to sell them. And that's what, people talk about this when making offers in real estate in real life all the time is you don't want to deal with buyers that want to sell. You want to deal with buyers that need to sell, right? Like that's when you get the good deals. And so that's a little bit what we might be seeing here. Is some of these people might be thinking, some liquidity would be nice. Let me put these shares up. Not really much of a discount. I'm actually still making a profit on them. Um, but within these, 1,000 shares, there has to be people that no, I really, I maybe not 100% need that cash, but it would really be, make a difference to get that versus not. And those would be the ones that by Friday, if they haven't sold, will start to entertain some relatively bigger discounts, in my experience. Like, and obviously this is a new market, so I don't know how this is really going to work. I also think that there probably aren't as many buyers that have caught on to this as should have yet. So, maybe we'll see some more buying activity. Um, and that's the other thing too that I'm curious about is if this is going to impact how many people are buying on their new issues, right? Like, are some of these people that are selling, are they going to go buy the new issues, or are they going to buy on the secondary market? And like from now on, why buy anything at IPO if I could potentially get it at a discount 6 months later when it's up for and for me, I mean that's been my only thing, right? I haven't been there's been no deals on Arrived's IPOs that I've been attracted to, but I'm still pretty hopeful that we're going to see some deals here. And one last thing I want to say, and then I think I'll be done. So I've already talked a lot and maybe not said as much as I'd like to. Um, we talked about this is a discount from the arrived valuation, and but it's still could be a profit from what they actually purchased these properties at, or purchase the shares at. Remember, this were shares, not properties, right? But um, these were all before March of 2022, so there's a decent chance some of these experienced significant appreciation in the property itself between that then and now. And so I think it makes sense that their valuation is a decent amount higher than their initial share price, except that when we've gone through and looked at fees and everything, the cost of creating the shares and everything, how it really inflates the share price relative to the real estate price. So that's going to be something I think we're all going to have to dig into deeper to figure out, like, does this really make sense? Because it's very convoluted looking at the valuation when you start to think about all that stuff. Which is why what I really want to understand is just the value of the real estate itself, and then looking at that real estate per share, and then net of any fees that we can discern that are going to be there's going to be closing costs, but also to having to look through the offering circular, and figure out what arrived is actually going to charge for the wind down and whatnot. And that's some work I haven't done yet, but should do. But if you're trying to figure out, okay, what's the liquidation value of this in the future, you really have to look at that and figure that out. Anyway, I think that's it for me for today. Until next time, I'm gonna just, oh yeah, so please, if you understand some of this stuff better than I do, which I'm sure a lot of you do at this point, especially if you've been able to make some trades, please jump in the comments or in the Discord and share. Ike, I really appreciate you doing, posting the stuff that you did. I think that that's super helpful. And everybody else too that's been involved in that discussion. I think that it's just moving us all forward and help me understand what's going on a little bit better too. So anyway, until next time, I'm gonna keep making mistakes so that you don't have to.